Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. And I could best sum up this NXT with one word: fun. This was such an entertaining episode of NXT. Then again, what do you expect? We say that pretty consistently about the hour of power of WWE television. But this one really, I think, kind of raised the bar because we had two new debuting talents and a main event that I think was just absolutely phenomenal. Ashton, what do you think of it?
Yeah, you know what, dude? The main event was phenomenal, but it also got outshone by something else that was going on during the main event that I can't even complain about.
Exactly, and we will get to all that and more with our NXT review, but first and foremost, let us get right into Heat of the Night! And, Ashton, this is NXT. You know I never have any heats of the night with NXT, and I'm guessing you feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, if I would have any heats of the night, it's more of a nitpick than anything because I actually enjoyed it. But just to stay consistent with some of my critiques of the main roster, the commentary during the main event was extremely distracting. Although, like I said, I did enjoy it, so it's kind of tough to pick on.
It's so funny with the main event because, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. But I find it hilarious how the two guys in the ring, were having a clinic, and yet the commentary didn't really seem to afford that, the respect that it normally would have. But, I get it. Like you and I said, we both enjoyed it. I think it was just to serve the greater narrative going on. And again, we'll get more into that, I guess, with our formal review. So is that all you wanted to address?
Absolutely.
All right, so let us get right into our NXT review. And this NXT opens up quite villainous, to say the least.
Well, more specifically, vaudevillainous.
Indeed, the vaudevillains. Aiden English, Simon Gotch. Again, I love these guys.
They're awesome. I mean, they just mesh well. I mean, it's one of those things where we love NXT because they always have bright, colorful, unique gimmicks going on that generally get watered down when they get to the main roster, and that's exactly what the vaudevillains are. They are extremely characteristic of what you can expect when you watch NXT.
Absolutely, and sitting across from the vaudevillains were two competitors whose names I do not recollect. Ashton, do you know their names, or can you not recollect it either?
T. Perkins and Matt Sugarman.
Sugarman. I think that's my new favorite last name now that we've seen of these new batch of local competitors, so to speak. Yeah, you know what? I enjoyed this. This was a fun opener. Simon Gotch especially. I think he has such innovative offense that is really nicely infused.
Dude, Simon Gotch is a freaking showman. Like, to me, he doesn't even remind me of a wrestler. He reminds me of like one of those drama nerds in high school that actually went like to college for acting and just decided halfway through that he wanted to bring acting to the wrestling world. And like all of a sudden now he shows up in the wrestling world and his gimmick is like 1920s silent film actor. Like, Simon Gotch is just pure showman to me.
Absolutely. In fact, to build on that point, Ashton, one of the most vivid aspects of the match for me was actually a very basic maneuver. Simon Gotch was in the ring. He had like a triangle, like wrapped the legs around the throat of one of his opponents, but he was doing push-ups while he had a triangle. And what I loved about the NXT crowd, they were chanting, eat a mushroom, eat a mushroom. So clearly like thinking it looks like Super Mario of all things. And, that's just great. It's the little touches on basic maneuvers like that make a character, make a performer stand out. And that's what Simon Gotch is doing in spades right now.
Absolutely. Like I said, man, it's just pure showmanship. And I know that it's entertaining, but I really, I feel like I need to do more research on just how much wrestling experience Gotch has because, like I said, he just strikes me as the type of guy who decided halfway into acting school that he wanted to be a wrestler and bring the acting aspect to it. So I'm definitely curious as to just how much of an in-ring presence he has beyond the showmanship.
I would concur with that as well, because we haven't really seen much on him. Plus, I mean, he is in a tag team right now, so maybe, WWE would have reservations of letting him strike out on his own. And speaking of the fact that he's in a tag team, his partner does finish the job. Aiden English comes in, and just like the last time these two competed, which I think was only last week, so we got to see these guys 2 weeks in a row, he hits a senton, which I think is so much better than, what did he call it, the director's cut or what have you. I think he has a nice looking senton, and he picks up the win with it, so good on Aiden English.
Well, hey, apparently he's performed at Chikara, TNA, and PWG, so it's not like he's a noob.
Certainly not. Not with those kinds of credentials. So yeah, the Vaudevillains roll on with another victory, and they are 2-0. So good job, guys.
Yeah, Vaudevillains are on a roll. I don't know. I'm curious. I kind of want to see them go against Dillinger and Jordan now.
You know what? I feel like those two will cross paths in a number one contendership match that'll lead to a championship match or whatever the next big NXT event is. Really build up the Vaudevillains, build up Ty Dillinger and Jason Jordan, have that collision, and I think it'll really create a hot interest in the tag team division.
So I'm looking up Simon Gotch. Apparently on the indies he was known as Ryan Drago, and I guess he performed on a TNA show in February 2006. In a tag team with Matt Morgan, I think. With
that, yeah.
Do you know who Mike Modest is?
No, I do not know who Mike Modest is. Never heard of him.
All right, well, yeah, I guess it was like a 6-man tag match, and it was Mike Modest, Matt Morgan, and Ryan Drago. But Ryan Drago wrestled as, or maybe, I don't know. But regardless, he's been wrestling for close to 10 years, if not over 10 years. I don't know.
Quite nice. It's nice that he has that kind of experience under his belt. How old is Gotch altogether? What would he be, like 33, I guess?
I think he debuted in 80, or not debuted, you know what? I need to do more research on this. I'll figure it out eventually, though.
All right, well, with that said, the Vaudevillains do pick up the win, so...
1982. I was right the first time. 1982.
Okay, very nice.
So he's, 32?
Yeah.
Still, I don't know. That seems, heck, if he's been wrestling for close to, if not more than 10 years, then I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, it really does all add up when you do the math. But yeah, 32, not a bad age to come in. I mean, WWE is on a youth movement at the moment. But I think, again, you can't expect everybody to be a main eventer. You can't expect everybody to win a world title. There are other roles to be filled in a company, top
And at the end of the day, what's most important is he's entertaining. There you go.
Exactly. Great note to end on.
So up next, we had Xavier Woods comes out, and as he is in the ring doing his entrance shenanigans, we get CJ Parker at ringside with another protest sign. One side said it's Earth Day every day, or every day is Earth Day, or something like that. I don't remember what the other side said, though. It was
stop the thaw.
Stop what?
I think stop the thaw.
I don't know. Well, that sounds about right. I don't know if that's exactly what the wording was, but I think you got the general gist of it. So here we have our first debuting superstar of the night, unless you count the two local workers that jobbed to the Vaudevillains, Bull Dempsey.
What did you think of this debut, Ashton? Because you've already kind of heard what I felt about it during pre-recording conversation. So what did you think?
You know what? I want to like Bull Dempsey. I just don't yet. To me, he is going to be... I don't know. I almost feel bad for him. And the reason that I say that I would feel bad for him at all is because he's got literally zero chance of actually making it big in this company because of the build. But on that same note, I say kind of feel bad for him because it's kind of self-inflicted. Like, if you want to be a wrestler and you want to be at the top of the WWE, you should know by now that you need to be in really good shape to do it. So, yeah, I kind of feel bad for him because he's Like he's following the dream, but at the same time he's never going to actually make it because of the way his body looks. But I don't know. And on top of that, this guy is going to be basically extinct when Kevin Steen shows up in WWE because they're built similarly, but Kevin Steen is about 1 billion times more talented. So, like I said, I kind of feel bad for him, but not really.
Yeah, he's got quite a few detriments going on right out of the gate. Really, Ashton, my criticism, as you know, wasn't so much with his build or whatever, because I get it. They're trying to, I think, make him this very imposing figure so he can get away with it. My problem was, I think this match showed quite clearly that he's very green yet, and he has, I think, a lot to work through, because we really didn't see a lot from Dempsey in this matchup. I remember I was markedly impressed with him in his tag match, but you know what? Really thinking back, I think that was because we really didn't get to see much of him. That's the beauty of a tag match. It's structure. You don't have to carry the whole load by yourself. Now, I'm personally, rooting for Bull Dempsey, sure, because apparently he was a student of a very good indie wrestler friend of mine, RV1. So, I would like to see him succeed. However, if I'm being honest with myself as a fan, I did not really care for this debut at all. To be honest, I'd almost say that he bored me, which is a shame because I love Xavier Woods. And guys like Bull Dempsey, I am a fan of when it's done right. So I'm going to give him his time to grow because it takes time for everybody. We'll see where this goes in a couple months. And if you and I still feel the same way, then I'm just going to write him off. But the one thing I will say, I did like his finisher in this match.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. How do you even describe that finisher? It's just kind of like a weird side slam.
I was struggling with the words as well, and those were probably the ones I would have picked out. It was like, I don't know, a body slam, but he goes off to the side at the last second. I don't know. It's weird. But you know what? Who knows? We've seen a lot with
so imagine somebody picking someone up for a scoop slam, right? So, like, they have them lifted up, like their right arm is in between their legs, and their left arm is up over their head and around their neck. But rather than coming down straight forward, he kind of pulls them over to the side and does like a sidewalk slam with them. It's kind of like almost like a Taka Michinoku driver, but to the side.
Actually, you know what? That last phrase there, the Taka Michinoku driver, but to the side, I think is a perfect descriptor of this finisher. That said, we've seen NXT superstars, whether they're old or new, there's a tweaking process, there's a maturation process,
right.
A lot of polish that goes into it. So who knows? Like, people could look at that and they'd be like, Bull, you know what? Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Keep doing this, keep doing this, keep doing this, and let's just put this in its place, this in its place. So I think he really is a work in progress.
To me, he's Husky Harris right now.
Absolutely. And look at what Husky Harris turned into, though.
Right, exactly. But my question is, does he have it in him to become his own version of what Husky Harris became in Bray Wyatt? I don't know. I'm not going to say no, but I'm also not going to say, oh, well, since he's Husky Harris now, that means he has to become Bray Wyatt, because that's like, to me, that's like a one in a million kind of thing, because the talent level in Bray Wyatt is just out the freaking world. But I don't know. Bull Dempsey, yeah, like I said, to me right now he's Husky Harris. I don't think that he's ever going to become a Bray Wyatt-like character, but that's what it would take for him to succeed in the WWE, because with that kind of build, you're not going to go anywhere.
And see, I feel like if they're trying to build him up as like this juggernaut of sorts.
What you need to understand, John, is that NXT is doing literally everything right. They're doing everything that they can to compensate for the fact that this guy is built like a regular dude, like a regular American guy, like an overweight, like they are doing literally everything that you can possibly do to compensate for that. They're making him seem like this old school killer. They're basically giving him the Taz treatment. Taz was like 5'9", and ECW made him out to be a killer. That's kind of what they're doing here. He's not 5'9", he's 6'2", but the dude's a soft 300 pounds. And the NXT writers / creative team, and that includes Triple H, because I'm sure he has a lot, if not everything, to do with what gets put on NXT television every week, are doing everything in their power to make him seem legitimate. Because if it wasn't for the billing and the commentary and the booking, this guy would look like a jobber. I mean, he does look like a jobber, but he would come off as a jobber if it wasn't for all the other stuff. And let's be honest with ourselves, John. Somebody gets called up from NXT to the main roster, they put literally less than like a tenth of the effort into building them up.
That is very true. So I think what you're saying is what it comes down to with Bull Dempsey really all lies in the presentation more than anything else. And by presentation, we mean how commentary depicts him, how, just everything around him depicts him, and just see if he can carry that load for the time being before he can really start carrying his own identity.
Right.
And yeah, I could sign on to that for sure. So, he does get the win, which I'm going to call it now because of your description, a modified Michinoku driver. And after the match, he does cut a promo. He says that this business used to be run by men. And I think he pretty much says, but now it's being run by mere children. But, he's here, and he's the last of a dying breed. And I do like that tagline. Again, where he's going to go is anybody's guess, but this was not the hottest night for
Right, and
DBX.
here's my thing, dude. He somehow managed to botch the one line that he should have had memorized from the beginning. He should have said that he's the last of a dying breed, but somehow or another he botched that and said he's last of the dying breed.
Oh, wow.
You didn't catch that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, that was a thing. Yeah, compared to the other person who debuted after him, I feel like this debut was lukewarm at best for me. So, if there's anything else you want to say about it, I'm pretty much done talking about it.
All right, so up next, we had what do I call this? Is it a Divas match, women's match, what?
I'd call it a women's match.
We had a women's match between Summer Rae and a debuting Becky Lynch, a.k.a. female Sheamus.
I love Becky Lynch. I'm gonna start right out of the box with that statement. I even told Asher before we started recording, she may be my new Emma of NXT personally.
You always go for the cute. You never dig like the hot, sexy women. You always go straight for the cute.
I like the adorable quality, and I'll tell you something. To me, what was I gonna say? I was getting ready to say something before you said that, but I forget what I was going to say. But I like her look. She's adorable. I remember what I was saying. She's got the spunk. She's really spunky to me. I don't know, and I really resonate with that. And yeah, the fact that she was competing against Summer Rae in her debut, I think is awesome. And this crowd, dude, was hot for Becky Lynch.
And you know what? The fact that they were hot for her is a combination of three things. First of all, anticipation. People have known about Becky Lynch for a long time. She's been wrestling since 2002. And she also had one of those leaked presentation skills promos, and it was actually quite entertaining. She did like a fully rhymed promo. It was pretty good. Second of all, her entrance was awesome. Between the theme, the energy that she put into it, the cute little dance that she does, entrance was great. And third of all, her opponent, Summer Rae. Everyone in the NXT universe hates Summer Rae. So, yeah, those three ingredients, and it makes perfect sense why the NXT crowd was so behind her tonight.
Yeah, the ingredients really came together perfectly to create a perfect storm of a debut, if you will. And yeah, see, that's the thing. She was energetic. She had a great opponent. The anticipation was there. I think all the things that Becky Lynch had going for her were completely void in the Bull Dempsey debut, and you could see that it was a world of difference on virtually every level. As far as Becky Lynch herself, found her very entertaining in the ring, got the crowd in the match because her and Summer had a little dance-off. And I love how at the same time they still have the storyline going of the disintegration of the BFFs, because you have Sasha Banks and Charlotte pretty much laughing at Summer Rae and, having fun at her expense at ringside. And, Summer at one point, she goes over and she's like, "This is my match!" And she gets caught up in a modified, roll-up by Lynch, but that only gets a 2 count. In the end, though, it doesn't matter because Becky Lynch does come out victorious. And I forget what her finisher was, though, Ashton. Do you remember?
Her finisher was a capture suplex.
That's right. I went nuts for it. Yeah, because Summer was trying to go for the kick. Those long legs of hers, trying to put them in offensive use. Becky Lynch catches it and does a beautiful capture suplex. And, yeah, she gets the 3 count off of it. You called her a female Sheamus. I like that description. We even saw an uppercut from her at one point, which I thought was awesome now that I think about it.
A European.
Yeah. You know what? I could see her going very far in the NXT women's division. There are a lot of matches that I'd like to see, involving Becky Lynch. Now, I don't know. I'm just really sold on her, and it's only her first night, so I can't wait to see more.
Absolutely. Definitely a very high ceiling for Becky Lynch. Commentary actually did compare her to Paige, and you know what? I'm going to buy into that comparison. I personally, just from a personal taste standpoint, don't think that she's as good-looking, attractive, whatever word you want to use, as Paige, but that's like saying one is a 10 and the other's a 9.5, because she's still freaking gorgeous. But regardless of physical appearance, I think the talent level is definitely on the same level as Paige. Like I said, this chick's been wrestling since 2002. 12 years. She's been wrestling since she was 15. Paige has been wrestling since she was 12. But Paige was 12 like 9 years ago. So Becky Lynch actually has more experience than her. Now, granted, I will throw in there, apparently Becky Lynch had to take a break from wrestling around 2008. Or maybe, no, not 2008, 2006. So now, granted, she hasn't been wrestling for 12 years straight, but she still does have that kind of experience on her side. So definitely buying into the Paige comparison. What about you?
I would completely sign on to that. I'll put it to you like this, Ashton. The way I look at it with how this crowd was behind her and how she presented herself, I think the world is before Becky Lynch, and it's entirely up to her whether she takes it or not.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so up next we had we didn't really have that many backstage segments tonight. It was kind of weird. We did have one though, and it was a Sami Zayn interview, and it was really like not even 30 seconds, like 15 seconds. He just gets asked about the whole Tyson Kidd thing. He says, "Yeah, that's just the kind of guy Tyson Kidd is." And don't expect that to be the last time that you see business getting done between Sami Zayn and Tyson Kidd. So basically kind of throwing down the gauntlet.
Yeah, he didn't seem like Mr. Nice Guy all the way through this promo, which I liked because I wanted him to be angry. And he said, "Hey, just because I said that you got to learn, you got to lose to learn how to win, doesn't mean I like losing." And I thought, I was with a partner that wanted to win just as much as I do, and he left me out there. And then, as you said, Ashton, he said, "The business between us, it's far from over." So I can't wait for the one-on-one match that I'm assuming will take place between these two in the coming weeks. Hell, with how NXT operates, it may even be as soon as next week. So I think it should be good, and nice promo work from Zayn here.
Yep, absolutely. So up next, I don't think we had any backstage segments at all after this, because up next we had Colin Cassidy versus Sawyer Fulton. This was pretty much a squash match. Fulton does drive Cassidy in the corner and drive his shoulder into the midsection, but then it ends up with Cassidy doing like the big boot, kind of the typical big man offense. But his finisher in this match was a huge jumping elbow drop in the middle of the ring, and it looked great. The intensity, the impact, I mean, the athleticism displayed by Colin Cassidy here was out of this world.
You almost have to wonder, and I'm going to be very careful with my wording here because I don't want people jumping all over me, but you have to wonder if Colin Cassidy in the future is going to be like the next fucking that maybe that elbow drop, because of all of its flair that's like put into it, will be like a secondary finisher, because we know that his primary finisher is called the East River Crossing, which is a seated swing bottom.
Right.
But he wins with this high elbow, which is a beautiful looking elbow drop, and followed up with his big boot, which I've said is the best big boot I've personally seen since the days of Test. I think that's pretty cool. So you got to wonder. He's definitely got the charisma. Now he's got, a beautiful looking elbow drop. I don't know. I'm seeing the parallels there for me personally a little bit. I like it though. I like it a lot.
Definitely, man. I mean, you know what? We've been talking about Colin Cassidy's potential for a long time. Have we ever established how old he is?
No, I don't think we have, Ashton.
27 years old.
That's marvelous. That's just so marvelous.
Yeah.
Oh, man. See, that's why I said WWE is on a huge youth movement at the moment, and the beautiful part is most of that youth is so good. Like, look no further than Bray Wyatt, who's competing for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship this Sunday in a ladder match, and he's still only 26. Colin Cassidy,
27.
27. Colin Cassidy, We look at the build and just his look and everything as a future top star, a future Edge, a future this, a future that. He's only 27. The youth is carrying the load, man. I'm telling you.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, I think Bray Wyatt really is the best example. Here's a guy who was looking like he was going to be basically a nobody when he was Husky Harris. Next thing you know, I want to say 2012, it might have been 2011, he shows up at NXT, or at FCW it was at this point, with this repackaged, like, Southern preacher gimmick, Bray Wyatt, with freaking Eli Cottonwood as his bodyguard, and just the character evolution, and really, the evolution as a performer that he has undergone since then has really just blown my mind. I mean, look no further than the last promo that he cut in NXT before he showed up on the, or actually after he showed up in the main roster, but you get the idea. The level of crowd control that we know this guy possesses when he gets a crowd that kind of plays along with him, or rather when he gets over enough in whatever development he's in. Yeah. 27 years old, this guy's going to be a king for years.
Abso-freaking-lutely. And to bring it back to Colin Cassidy, while, I won't be giving him the moniker of the maestro of the microphone anytime soon, what makes him so great, and I think this is definitely something that every babyface should aspire for on the mic, he's quotable. He has phrases, most notably, S-A-W-F-T, soft, and it works because people eat it up, people get into it, and people got into it here. And, he disposes of Sawyer Fulton, gets the job done there. But then the party's cut short, Ashton, and by who of all people?
Sylvester Lafort and Marcus Louise.
Maybe they were going to invite Colin to take a golden shower. I don't really see how that could have gone so well.
A golden shower of championship gold.
Exactly. Hey, why don't you join us? We'll go up to the NXT Tag Team titles. A golden shower. And just be like, no. But, they go out, they interrupt him. It seems like they're going to get the jump on Colin Cassidy, but then who makes the save?
Enzo freaking Amore.
That's Amore.
Yeah. Oh, man, this was awesome. I mean, the crowd involvement when Enzo picks up a microphone is literally on the same level, if not, no, I won't say better, because I remember like it was yesterday, the Attitude Era, but it's on the same level as when the New Age Outlaws were in their prime in the Attitude Era.
I got that same vibe, again, like you, I won't go that far, but you could definitely, sense it. People were eating this up again. And I said just a few seconds ago that Colin Cassidy was quotable. It shocked me how well, inside and out, this audience knew the lines and the phrases of Enzo Amore.
Yeah, the whole freaking thing, from the Bonafide G certified stud, Colin Cassidy being 7 feet tall, and you can't change or you can't teach that. Like, every single word of his intro, this crowd knew. And that, to me, means that it'll only take 3, maybe 4 months at the very most for mainstream crowds to be able to do the same freaking thing. WWE, call this guy up.
Don't waste any time. I completely agree with Ashton here. And to me, can I just point out for a second that what makes this even more impressive is that Enzo was gone for a few months, with a serious injury and everything. He was gone for quite some time, and he comes back, and both him and the audience do not miss a beat. That's how you know you have a gem on your hands.
And here's my thing, dude. Yet again, this seems to be the common freaking denominator right now. Enzo Amore, 27 years old.
Wow. See, honestly, dude, that surprises me because I would have taken Enzo with the way he looks to me personally to be no more than 30 or just in his early 30s, like 31, 32. To be that young puts the biggest smile on my face because, again, we're looking at, two guys, especially when together, that are just so good. I would want them both to come up as a tag team tomorrow if I had it my way, and I'd certainly enjoy them being tag team champions more than the Usos, I think, at this point.
Dude, freaking everybody in the WWE that is making waves right now is 27 or 28. It's crazy.
It's got to make WWE feel elated, though, because, again, having that kind of youth that you can get so much mileage, so many years out of, that's the lifeblood of pro wrestling. Look, John Cena isn't going to be able to compete forever. Randy Orton, remarkably, despite all the years that he's been in the business, he's around the same age as Dolph Ziggler, so he'll probably still be able to go for a bit, but again, he won't be able to go forever. These are the guys that are going to inherit this company at a certain point, and to know that they're that good gives me a world of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, and now granted, Bo Dallas, he's somebody that's a lot younger. I think he's only like 23, maybe 24. Yeah, 24. I just looked it up. But like Bray Wyatt is 27, Cassidy's 27, Enzo's 27, and then you go into the Shield guys, Rollins is 28, Ambrose is 28, Reigns just turned 29. Like everybody who is making legitimate waves in the WWE right now is under 30. I think the only guy who I would kind of put on that hot list of guys that are really doing something in WWE, and now unfortunately he's hurt, but the only guy who I would put on that list that's over 30 is Wade Barrett, and even he's only like 31, if that.
Right, and that's the beautiful thing even about guys like Wade. We were talking, and him and Cody's friendship. Cody likes to joke around and bust his chops about, oh, you're so old. But even he by WWE standards is pretty young yet to get a worthwhile push. Like I think Cesaro, and you see how well he's doing right now, but I think Cesaro's like 33.
Well, yeah, I just looked it up. Barrett's 33, Cesaro is 33. Cody Rhodes, another good example. He's only 28.
Right, and look at how well Cody Rhodes has done. I know a lot of people have been clamoring for him.
Dude, I feel like Cody Rhodes has been around forever.
I know, right? He must have come into the business so young, because I feel like, didn't he come on the scene in like 2007, 2008?
I thought it was like 2006, but you're probably right.
So, yeah, coming in all that time, you figure 6 or 7 years.
He probably debuted when he was like 21.
Yeah, exactly. So when you come in that young and you already put that much time in, again, Randy Orton, he came in really young. That's why I said, he's only around the same age as Ziggler, a point that you've made to me multiple times when we talk about him, and people already, I think people have kind of cooled down on the Orton hate and being sick of him, but there was a point when it's like, oh, when will Orton leave? Well, he's still got quite a bit of time left on the clock by WWE standards. Do you know how early he came in? So when you have many talents like that, especially when they're good, that's what I want to keep stressing. It's just the best thing in the world.
I just looked it up. Cody Rhodes debuted on WWE television on Raw at 21 years old.
Wow. See, there you go. And I know a lot of people have been clamoring for the likes of Cody, to finally get that world championship, but look how he's managed to stay relevant through the years. That's the most important thing to me. See, where guys like Drew McIntyre failed was that sooner or later they bottomed out. And Cody Rhodes just finds a way to make everything he's given work. So I still believe he'll be a world champion one day, but I think WWE is taking their time, and honestly, considering the current pool of talent, I can't really say I blame them. So,
man, I feel like it was only yesterday that we were making, at only 26 years old, jokes about Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, really.
And now they're both like 28.
Exactly. And, bringing it all full circle, seeing Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy reunite, both very young men, but, both the same age, 27. I think they're ready to tear the NXT world apart. I still want these guys to be the ones to ultimately dethrone the Ascension. Do I think it'll happen? Honestly, no, I do not. But I would love to see it, because these guys are a hot act. Dare I say, one of the hottest acts in NXT.
Yeah, like I said, call them up, man. With as good as Enzo is, with the catchphrases and stuff, freaking call him up. So up next, we had Tyler Breeze at the commentary desk, who was absolute gold all night, every night. And Adrian Neville versus RVD as our main event, which, as you've mentioned already, was an absolute clinic.
Yeah, these guys threw bombs at each other, all of their signature offense, and then some. It was a great back and forth. This is when I think, quote-unquote, high-flying contests are at their best. They did the spot where each guy tried to nail a maneuver, but the other guy was just a little too quick to the draw, and then, they are at a standstill, and the crowd ate that up, and RVD, he did a moonsault to the outside. He, at one point, hung Neville up on the ropes, and he kicked him square in the jaw. Neville took to the top rope with a moonsault to the outside himself, and just reminding us why he's the man that gravity forgot. And all the while, Tyler Breeze is making comedy gold on commentary that just really builds up his character as just one of the best on NXT right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, as far as being in character goes, Tyler Breeze was absolutely pitch perfect tonight. He was so just completely inside of his character. He literally, like, this seems like almost like a superfluous thing to say, but Tyler Breeze is Tyler Breeze. You know what I mean? Like, he completely embodies that character. Renee says, so, how's your music video doing? And he just comes up with like this ridiculous cocky quip that you wouldn't even expect. Like, at one point she asked him about his music video, and he said, well, I like to think of myself as the champion of music videos, just like Adrian Neville is the champion of NXT. And just, I don't know, there's just everything that he said. I wish that I had a better short-term memory and could remember some of the exact lines that he had, because they were worth quoting. I'm just awful at this, so really, just Tyler Breeze is amazing. It's that simple.
He really is. I'm actually quite surprised that he didn't seem too harsh in his criticisms towards Adrian Neville.
He was harsher towards Renee.
He was harsher towards Renee. I mean, we didn't see him pull out the Aiden Neville gag. We didn't even hear him call Adrian Neville an uggo, which really surprised me, to be honest. I was just waiting for it. But the best thing he said to Renee is, Renee, if people want to think that you and I, both look alike and are both gorgeous, that's fine, even though it's not true. Just like his delivery, though, was absolutely spot on. But then, shifting back to the matchup, the high point, we see Van Dam going for the 5-star frog splash at one point. Adrian Neville moves out of the way. A little bit more back and forth between these two. Ultimately, Neville does get Van Dam down, and he has to drag him over into position, which was fine, because, to me, that's good psychology, that's good storytelling. And he gets to the top rope, he hits the red arrow, and he gets the victory over RVD. To me, personally, I would legitimately call it the biggest win for Adrian Neville to date.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, holy crap. RVD, like, it was weird because, like, 5 minutes into this match, I said, John, I kind of feel like Adrian Neville's going to win this match. And it's so weird because it's like it just finally clicked to, like, Adrian Neville's going to beat No Job Rob in their one and only match that they're ever going to have together, probably. Like, that, to me, is huge because RVD is a fairly well-protected veteran. He's not like a Chris Jericho where you know that if he goes against a talented youngster, he's going to get jobbed out because he's always putting the younger guys over. No, RVD, he's a little bit more selfish with the wins and losses that he gets, that he takes. And Adrian Neville picks up the win. Like you said, perfect wording. This is the most important win of Adrian Neville's career so far.
And you know what? I have to give RVD credit, Ashton, because really, let's be honest with ourselves, because I know I'm speaking purely for myself, but I'm wondering if you'll sign on to this. If it was Chris Jericho, yeah, I would have been excited, but ultimately I really don't think I would have cared as much as the fact that Adrian Neville beat RVD for the exact reasons you just listed. This is a very protected individual. The only time he'll really lose that we've seen to the quote-unquote up-and-coming talent, or the talent that's really trying to get somewhere, is if they're holding a championship or it has championship implications or something like that. This is a non-title match, no strings of any kind attached. So it could have been very believable to say that Van Dam would win and maybe they'd have a little mini program while Breeze is still waiting in the wings. Didn't happen here, because in the first encounter, like you said, Ashton, Adrian Neville comes away with the victory, and I approve. I approve wholeheartedly. I think this is a huge moment for Adrian Neville, and because RVD really protects his status and protects his career, it means that much more that he allowed Adrian Neville to have this moment. I mean, with that, and then the interview he gave a few days prior pretty much saying, hey, the young guys, they don't need Rob Van Dam. They're already doing fantastic on their own. I definitely have a new level of respect for RVD, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, exactly. So, props to RVD for doing Adrian Neville this favor. Props to Neville for, as always, putting on a great match. Props to Tyler Breeze for being hilarious on commentary. And hey, you know what? Props to Renee Young for really giving Tyler Breeze a platform to be as great as he was.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I think that's the only reason Tyler Breeze is so focused on himself, is because Renee was really feeding him lines, to work with that were really all about him. Very rarely did she divert from that and focus on the match and focus on the champion Adrian Neville, which is not a criticism. I'm just saying that I think Renee really liked the back and forth concerning Tyler Breeze, and it worked. It made for great television.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I enjoyed this. This is a great way. This is a great punctuation for this episode of NXT. Adrian Neville, he gets the win. Him and RVD shake hands after RVD sells some frustration. And then, Tyler Breeze says, well, he may be the champion, but I am the number one contender. And then he gets on the announce table to pose as Neville looks on.
Absolutely. This was a really fun episode of NXT. And I'm glad that we closed things out this way with Adrian Neville standing tall and Tyler Breeze taunting him from the announcer's desk. Great stuff all around.
All right, with that said, let us get right into high spots and low shots. And you know what? My low shot is going to be Summer Rae.
Oh, yes. I mean, the BFFs as a whole, really.
Yeah, BFFs as a whole. But really, yeah, primarily I think Summer Rae, because, look, she's going to be soon enough a woman without an island, because Fandango left her. He's with Layla. We don't know if they're going to get back together over on the mainstream shows, Raw and SmackDown. That remains to be seen. But for the time being, they are broken up. Now, when a woman can, allegedly count on her girlfriends in times of such crisis and trying to rebuild herself, she finds that the BFFs are dissolving before her very eyes. Everybody, their own individual egos, their own individual interests coming to the forefront. And, if that doesn't get bad enough, she loses to a debuting female. So the yard that she supposedly runs, because she's always been so cocky and confident that she's on the main roster and she's the queen of NXT, or so she'd like to call herself, she gets upset by Becky Lynch here.
Right. Okay, that's very understandable. People are probably going to get on me for this, but you know what? I'm going to say it anyway. My low shot's Bull Dempsey. Yet again, just kind of throwing it back to what I said earlier, I do kind of, again, I want to emphasize the kind of, because it's, like I said, it's also partially self-inflicted, kind of feel bad for Bull Dempsey. He's got, I don't even know, I don't know, I just feel bad because it's like they want him to succeed, but they aren't ever going to actually let him succeed at the same time. It's like NXT is kind of throwing him a bone and letting him do his thing, but he's never going to really get past that. So, yeah, Bull Dempsey, low shot.
I can completely understand where you're coming from, Ashton. For me, like I said, during the review of his matchup, I am personally rooting for him because he was trained by a very dear friend of mine. But being honest with myself, which I always try and do when we do TWitWoW, and leaving those subjective feelings aside, is there an upside there? Potentially, but I think you really have to squint to see it.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. But only time will tell. Hey, I've been critical of guys like C.J. Parker and Bo Dallas before, and they really came into their own.
Let's not forget Mojo Rawley, though. We're still waiting for him to do something.
Yeah, he's pretty hopeless, but I don't know. Maybe he's in good company. Maybe he's not. That's entirely up for Bull Dempsey to decide. That said, my high spot couldn't be any more obvious. Adrian Neville by a mile.
What? Okay.
Well, I just got done saying that this was his biggest win to date, so I should probably just award him the whole pot at this point.
Oh, that's true.
He beat RVD. This guy is I think an 8-time Intercontinental Champion, multi-time Tag Team Champion, former WWE Champion, and Adrian Neville being the NXT Champion, the king of the developmentals, and that's not a slight. I'm just showing the disparity in the experience, gets the win.
Yep.
I mean, that's huge. You really can't underscore a victory like this. I don't know when Adrian Neville is coming to the main roster. I'm not saying rush it, but I do hope it is soon, because I am curious what he could do with other guys. I could see him, getting big-time moments straight away.
Let me ask you a question, John. With Adrian Neville, with somebody as talented as him, is there such thing as rushing, pulling him up to the main roster?
I'm not too sure, Ashton, because I know we have talked about detriments with him before. His mic work seems to have improved. We do worry about his look. in the face, and I feel totally like Tyler Breeze right now saying that, but that is a legitimate criticism we've had. Even though he's built like a freaking Super Saiyan, which we've said a million times over as well. So I don't know. I don't know if WWE feels like they want to work anything out with Neville. I feel like his psychology was better in this match because, again, he actually dragged Van Dam to do the Red Arrow. He didn't expect Van Dam to do the work. And that's something he should keep. Those are the little things that are going to make a world of difference between you being stuck in NXT, which isn't a bad thing by any means, or elevating to the main roster and fulfilling those dreams of being this champion or main eventing this pay-per-view. You know, it's all about those little things. So I hope Neville retains that. And, you know, when he does get brought up, I could see him being groomed right away. I could see him being in impromptu tag team matches with John Cena against John Cena's latest adversary. I could see him locking it up with the IC champion or US champion very early on in his run. I think this is one of those guys, he's just really groomed for success, I think, by WWE standards, at least from where I'm sitting.
Right, that's what I'm saying, though. Like you said, don't rush it. To me, they could call Adrian Neville up yesterday and it would not be rushing it because this guy is ready. This guy has a body for television, a work ethic for television, a ring ability for television. Literally the only thing that he doesn't have that is for that wouldn't be considered quote unquote for television is something that he's never going to be able to change, and that is his face. Like the big nose, the big ears. That's not necessarily going to be what gets him over, though. What's going to get him over is his pure talent, his athletic ability, and the fact that he's built, like we've said multiple times, like a freaking Super Saiyan. He's ready. Pull him up as soon as possible. There's no such thing as rushing when he's that good.
Well, there you have it. I mean, you know, there's nothing really more you can say than that. So, Ashton, do you have anything else, any concluding remarks you have about this episode of NXT?
Well, my high spot is Becky Lynch.
Oh, my God, I'm so sorry. We went on and on about it. Yeah, who is your high spot? I'm curious.
Becky Lynch.
Wonderful.
And you know what? Yeah. Because I feel like I would feel legitimately bad if we didn't throw him a frickin' bone here. Hardcore honorable mention, like borderline high spot if it wasn't for Becky Lynch and Adrian Neville being so awesome. Enzo Amore, welcome back, man.
Absolutely. Welcome back, Enzo. Great to see him in the ring where he belongs. Great to see him back by the side of Colin Cassidy, wondering how long that's going to last, wondering what that'll turn into. I would pop legitimately if they beat the Ascension of the NXT Tag Team titles. I have wanted these guys to have a run with those belts for some time now. I want to see them get it. I know it's not going to happen in a day. Those things take time. But with how over they are, it may take less time than you think, folks. So we'll see what happens.
Well, and then you know what, though? That's the thing. The Ascension are kind of baby faces now, so it's going to be kind of tough to transition there.
Certainly true. But, I mean, as we saw, in the latest, second before the latest NXT Tag Team Championship defense, I mean, they faced El Local and Kalisto, who were also supposed to be babyfaces. So I don't know if NXT is really going to stress the alignments too much as far as it concerns championship bouts and title changes.
Right.
So
that's understandable. Yeah, absolutely. All right, dude. This is a great episode of NXT. Let's close things out.
All right, guys, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort in commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Discuss on TweetOff. And we will see you again for our Friday night SmackDown review, where the Mastodon Roman Reigns is set to collide with the Demon Kane.